Hello, everybody. It's so great to have you here, and it's so great to go live for the Royal Enfield GoPro Masterclass. Now, it's going to be a great next 1 hour. We've got two amazing creators with us, and we're going to get a lot of tips from both of them. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at the first reel, which is of Chef Yash.
आजा सनम मधुर चांदनी में हम तुम मिले तो वीरानी में भी आ जाएगी बहार छूने लगेगा आसमां छूने लगेगा
Blur face.
All right, then. Yes, it is so good to have you here. I mean, I'm sure all of the audience here right now is really excited to hear tips and tricks from you about editing content on the go and getting your perfect highlight reel out using the Quick app. Um, would you like to say something on this?
I'm really looking forward to tonight's masterclass, and I'm so good to have you and Sajid as well. So yes, really looking forward to teach some tips and tricks through this masterclass.
Awesome. So, without further ado, I think we should get Sajid on board too. I'm sure he's itching to come on board right now. Let's go. Okay, then Sajid Neo, welcome to the show. I mean, I wish I had your life, and I wish I could jump off airplanes and paramotors all day long. Really envious. Welcome to the show. Tell me a bit about your life before we get the next 1 hour going for your tips and tricks.
Hey, thanks a lot, Yatish. To be very honest, I was always on the other side of these kind of masterclasses, and
Okay.
it's a pleasure and an honor to be part of this team, having Yash Rane as a co-host and Ron producing the show as well. So I think it's going to be fun.
Hey, Ron, a tip. Okay,
All
then
right.
awesome. So I think we should just get the show rolling, without wasting any time. But before we do that, there is a there's an is follow the tips that we're going to give in the next video. Follow the participation rules, and you might as well just win a brand new GoPro Hero 9 Black. Can we roll the reel? Okay, participation is very simple. You just need to cut a 1 minute under video using the Quick app, and post it onto your handles. And yeah, that's about it. We've kept it very simple. So make sure you take part in this contest, and we'll be announcing the winner of our first contest on the 27th of this month. So stay tuned for that. Moving on, just make sure that you scan the QR code and download the Quick app so you get to edit and create your first incredible video, and put it out on the social network. We'll leave up the QR code up for some time, and we'll put it up back again before we end the show. All right. So I know you want to learn a lot of tips and tricks from Sajid and Yash, but before that, I'm just going to quickly touch upon over what we're going to talk about today. So we'll give you a primer on Quick, our amazing new app that lets you create, content effortlessly. Uh, then we're going to go on a deep dive with Sajid and deep diving literally on his tips and tricks that will help you create that really, really creative edit. And then we're going to talk to Yash about how you can bring all the content together and bring out that really, really incredible highlight reel and then share it to the social network. And we're going to follow that up with a live Q&A, which means between now and the end of the show, make sure you type in your questions in the chat box because Yash and Sajid are both looking at it and they'll pick out the most intriguing questions and answer it between now and the end of the show. So let's begin. That was a really, really slick edit, Sajid. I mean, I wish I could edit like that. I would have many more followers on Instagram. But if you can briefly touch upon, what you're going to talk about, during the show, that would be really, really great.
Yeah, sounds good. So basically, we are going to, I mean, I'm sure everyone over here watching this show shoots, right? And sometimes you shoot so much of content, you just don't know what to do with it. So trying to show you how to manage all that content and make cool, fun edits out of them. And also,
Right.
Yash and I will be sharing our workflow tips so that hopefully you can involve that as part of your process.
Right, right, awesome. I mean, I've also been using Quick for a bit now, and one of the coolest things I find, like one of the biggest problems I have is that I take tons and tons of photos, and there is this 10 to 12,000 photos on my smartphone, which I never then again revisit. Now, but since I've downloaded Quick, there's this awesome, cool feature called Murals that lets me, stack my photos, group them according to a certain event or a certain day. For example, if I go out surfing, I can group it and call it a day out surfing, and I can quickly revisit those. So Mural has really helped me out. Is there a similar, is there anything that in the Quick app that absolutely blew your mind?
Yash, you want to start with that?
No, you go. I'll continue.
Personally, I love the filters that Quick offers because then I don't have to spend time editing the colors and
Right,
the different things on whatever I shoot. So right
right.
now that's my favorite. But then I have been playing around with the murals a bit, and as you rightly said, it's a good flashback. You can just go back and brings back good memories. So yeah, right now I'm enjoying that.
Right,
And
right. And
add,
yes, go ahead,
yeah,
go ahead,
adding
go
on
ahead.
to Saj's point, what I like about Quick App is, in spite of it being so user friendly, I can
Hmm,
still do my videos manually as well. People who don't
right.
like to, use the presets and everything, they still can do it manually. So that is one of the favorite features which has always been on my Quick App. So yes, that was my point.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of the coolest things that you love about the app is, which I also love really a lot, is that you really don't have to import content only from a GoPro. You're free to import content from a smartphone or a DSLR, and get your banger edit out in seconds or deep dive into in really, really incredible features that we'll talk about later in the show.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, then let me just quickly talk about quick just before we go into the deep end of the show. We're going to talk about all the core features, then the new features that Quick app has introduced, and how it has helped both Sajid and Neo create different kind of content. Because they're both creative uh, in their own way, and it'll be interesting to find out on how they've used the new features of the Quick app according to their needs. Okay, then I think we are good to go to see what Sajid's pro tips are. But before that, let's take a look at this introductory reel.
So I'd like to add something about the reel. Royal Enfield
Okay,
and GoPro India were doing a collab, right? And I had the bike sitting with me, but because of the lockdown, of course, I couldn't travel. So I just had the bike, and I was just sometimes moving around within the city. And I had this
right.
idea of just taking like these slow motion rotational shots, and then I would match cut the wheel to the speedometer, to the light, to the backlight, because everything was circular in
Okay.
the bike. And that was the idea in my head, right? I didn't know if it was going to happen or not. So I shot the bike in my parking lot. It's not a studio production or anything. And then I just played around with the light and just changed the exposure, changed the contrast, and used the glitch preset from the app, and of course a peppy soundtrack. And that's how the reel was made.
Yeah, I mean, my next question was just to add upon that point. In fact, after seeing that video, I would love to know, how does one go about mounting a GoPro, especially on something like a motorbike. It could be the Hero 9, the Max, Hero 8, Hero 7, whatever. But how, like, after looking at the visuals in the video clip, I really want to know some pro mounting tips from you, Sajid.
Sure. So depends on what camera you're using, right? Like, so for example, I have the 9, I have the 8, I've had the 6, I have the Max, which I also really love because you can do some
Hmm.
creative angles with it.
Hmm.
The whole idea is you need some sort of a story in your head to begin with, like what kind of
Okay.
shots you would like to get. So, for example,
Okay.
over here, this is a mount that you probably people see a lot in my skydiving trips because this gives the whole invisible selfie stick kind of a feeling. And I will show you how I actually do that. So, if you, for Max users or potential Max users, so for example, this is your Max camera, right? They have two lenses on both the sides, and both are shooting like a wide angle, and then the software stitches the footage. So you need to remember that the stitch line runs in this plane of the camera. So you want the camera to be sitting on your selfie stick or whatever a GoPro shorty stick. Sometimes I use these aftermarket sticks. They need this. The camera needs to be sitting bang on top of it. You don't want it to be like this, because then you'll start seeing the stick. And trust me, I keep playing around a lot with this to get like the perfect shot. Of course, try to do it as safely as possible and not create an entanglement hazard, especially when I'm jumping. Now, the same thing you can apply on a motorbike, like or any kind of a helmet, right? If you have a helmet, just stick your GoPro mount and use any sort of an extension which is stable enough, and then you can keep your Max over here. Or yeah, if you have the selfie stick, just hold it, extend it, and it gives the feeling like the ones that you saw in my video where you don't see where the stick is. And sometimes I just love seeing these creative videos because everyone is like, where is the camera? But just follow the shadow and you'll know where the camera is. So this was from Goa in April, and again I had this visual in my head that I want to fly bang straight on the shoreline. And so I told my paramotor pilot Ryan that, hey, can you just like give me a drop on the line so that I'll fall and then I'll align myself to the line and just fly. And that's called a tracking position. The way I'm flying, it actually makes you fly. It's all physics over there. But the invisible stick, the Max just like does this brilliant job. And again, on helmets, the idea is to keep it tangential to the the round surface of wherever you're mounting. Because if you do this, you may at times see the stitch line. But then again, I've played around so much with this that this eliminates the stitch line. So yeah, some math coming in handy over there.
Sajid, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm horrible at math. So explain it to me like a 5-year-old about your favorite mounts that you use on a motorbike, on a general situation where you want to capture daily adventures, or doing something extreme like diving from an airplane,
Sure.
jumping from an airplane.
For
Yeah.
a motorbike, the best mounts I would suggest are definitely the chesty, because you don't have to do much. Just make sure it's at a good height so that you're getting your whole handlebar angles. You could use a wider lens or a Max mounted over there to get like a wider frame from that. I love the clip mount, especially on the windshield of the Royal Enfield bikes, and
Right.
you just have to make sure it's fixed on properly, or use clamp mounts. The suction mount is also great if you can fit it on the tank, especially for night laps, which we'll talk later. Other than that,
Okay.
for jumps, I really love the El Grande. I'm sorry, I have all my tools around here right now. The El Grande is just
Right.
insane. It's slightly heavy, and in terminal velocity, you start feeling the pressure of it because the wind is like really trying to move it away. But if you're doing like shorter delay jumps, then it's a beautiful mount.
Sajid, I just want to quickly grab Yash for a second because you're throwing too many jargons at me. Yash, what do you think about this? Do you agree with Sajid on this one?
Yes, I would definitely agree with him in terms of whatever mounts he mentioned, because one of the mounts, if at all, I tried while riding was the bite mount. Because
Right.
when you add on bite mount, it totally gives you like a POV, like as if you're riding a bike in a game, and you see the video. Like with your
Right.
head, it is moving, the camera is moving wherever you want to see, like from behind, left, right, up,
Right.
down. It is up to you. So that is another
Right.
mount which I would like to add on. This is the bite mount, and rest of the
Right.
mounts which Sajid was mentioned were like bang on to the point.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't think I can use bite mounts because I'm always
I'm without
of awe.
the.
I'm always of awe of nature, and I'm afraid the bite mount is.
All right, good
Wow.
one.
That's a good perspective. Yeah, brilliant. So just moving on, I like of all the content that you create, I know it's like really creative, and you always try to, put these crazy elements into the videos, and also your time warps. I know I think you're a big fan of time warps. The way you shoot it, and the perspective, like the way the transitions are. I love transitions, and if done well, I think it adds like so much value to your time warps and your videos. Could you just talk a little bit on that?
Sure, Ron. Why don't you start with the temple run time warp video, and then I can add my pointers, if you don't mind.
Brilliant.
Yeah, sorry for that. Uh, Okay, so what I love about the time warp, and especially now on the Hero 9, because the camera is so powerful, right? And the picture quality is brilliant.
Right.
It's in the auto mode, it can actually detect your speed and change the capture settings accordingly. Or you can manually change, like, okay, at what rate do you want to capture? If you're doing like a really long car ride, then you capture at the max, like 30 times speed, for which you have to leave the camera running that long. Or if you're doing like a short
Right.
walk, 5x works brilliant. If you're walking through crowds, like for Bombay, it's brilliant. Like 5x or 10x or sometimes 15x are just amazingly good. Um, I try the same thing in the night mode also, But then if you want the streak of the lights to come, you should then switch to the night lapse, where again keep everything in auto. Just make sure your ISO is like completely low, because then the camera is working hard to take in more light, and that way you're creating those streaks of lights in your footage.
Oh, I think that's a good point, because mostly I too end up, using the standard mode, but
Yeah. Also, one thing, if you're walking and shooting a time lapse, just be ready that people are going to look at you in a funny manner, and they're going to probably laugh at you, because yeah, that's what happened with me a few times.
Adding on to that, I remember I was being arrested once at the Gateway of India early in the morning at 6:30. I was taking a time walk,
Okay.
and I was the only guy in the entire playground of Gateway of India that the police guy came and asked me like, "What are you up to?" And I told him like, "It's a time walk." And it took me like around half an hour to explain what time warp is, what GoPro is, and it was like, that's just another story. But talking about time warp, what I would like to add in one more point is I usually shoot it on 15x, because 15x gives me more stability if at all you're walking, and rest of the settings were being readily shared by Sajid, like as he said, like 5x and 15x at 30x while you're on the bike or a car. So yes.
Yep.
Awesome. I think that's some really, really useful tips. I think I'm going to make use of it instead of just going full auto for capturing content. But there's this one more really, really cool video, Sajid, of yours, wherein I think you've probably used stop motion, where you're on the bike and you've used graffiti on the background. How do you get an edit like that going using the Quik app,
So the cool again, I think the most powerful thing in there was the Hero 9, because I could capture in 5K and then just take screen grabs out of that picture, out of that video, because I wanted to play around with the kind of shots that I get over there. And so we went to all these murals, and this was in Bandra, and my friend was shooting the whole thing. So I told him, just remember at what angle you're shooting it and how many steps further away you're shooting it at. And then I compiled the whole clip, made that one loop in Quik, and then just exported that video, and then did all the doodly stuff in After Effects later.
Right. One more follow-up question to that, Sajid. So, especially, during the time of pandemic that, that's going on forever, you have very little time to step out, especially probably early in the morning or, whenever the government, allows it. How much important is planning your entire shoot before you even head out? Right from, what you're going to do to the kind of camera you're going to use, the kind of mounts that you're going to use. If you can quickly talk to us through that, it'll help a lot of our audience who want to go get out there and shoot in a very short period of time.
Sure. I'll start first. Just whatever mounts you're using, make sure that first of all, if you're riding, then it's not an obstruction to others in the traffic, because that's where cops will stop you. Like, hey, what is this extension coming from your bike or from your car? I mean, it's a real issue in living in Bombay. The other thing is, again, like try to not to shoot in places which are a bit sensitive, right? Like, for example, I have been stopped at railway stations. As Yash was saying, Gateway of India, he was stopped. So just be careful about these places. Even on airplanes, if you're trying to create a time lapse or something through the window, and they say, hey, you can't shoot over here. Just be mindful about these things. It's nice because then people also appreciate, okay, these guys seem to care about all these things.
Absolutely.
And of course, like considering the lockdown, I mean, I was messaging you like almost every day saying, hey, Yash, I can't step out because there are cops right outside. Like the other day when I was shooting a night lapse video, I saw the cops on the other side. So I had to like go through the internal roads and then come out from the other side.
Right. I mean, I completely agree, because I was in touch with Yash for, obviously for during the entirety of the pandemic. And more often than not, it's very difficult to create content, when there's a complete lockdown, right? So, yes, my next question is to you, like how do you, how do you still create content while you're at home? How do you dig into your, earlier shots? How do you get that, thing going mentally, wherein you're forced to sit at home, but a creative person like you, who has traveled the world, and yet he is at home. How does one go about that? how do you use your content that you've already shot, and make it into a kick-ass reel?
So first of all, talking about recently, I did not get to travel past few months, and about the content
Right.
which I have, it's all like archived, from the last year and the other few years. So the
Hmm.
only thing I can do right now is go through the content, old content, and see what I can do around
Right.
with it. Like I have
Right.
plenty of GoPro videos which I have not yet used, and in the
Right.
past one
Right.
year I have been making reels out of it. And so it is totally
Okay.
up to you how you want to use your content. There are
Hmm.
smarter ways. Then you can do storytelling through your short videos and everything. So it's totally up to you. Same thing goes with the photos. You can work on photo series.
Hmm.
So yeah, like it's easy
So
basically. Yeah,
I think we have one of your reels that you I think put together during
yeah,
the pandemic.
yeah.
Let's take a look at that. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, then that was a really cool one. That the whole stop motion thing is really brilliant. Um, and I was talking earlier, about how important it is to plan your entire shoot before you head out. So creatively, Yash, I've seen your editing before. In fact, you've created one of the edit reels for year-end reels for GoPro India also. So I know the kind of process that you go through, even if it's like a 30 to 40-second reel. How do you storyboard? How do you keep it simple? How do you storyboard, and how do you still manage to get out that banger of an edit?
All right. So before I start editing any video, I just go through it, and also while I'm shooting, I'll just give it a quick thought. Like maybe I'll create a mood board in my own head that I'm looking forward to these
Okay.
shots before I step out. So I'll just carry the number of mounts which I want for a particular day shoot. If at all like you carry all the mounts, then it will be a little bit difficult for you to shoot, because you'll end up
Right.
taking so many shots, and while editing those videos, you'll be like you're going nowhere with the edit. So it's better if you carry limited stuff and you're sure about what you're
Hmm.
shooting, and come back with the footage what you want. And when I talk about video editing, I would suggest everyone that music is really one of the very important thing when it comes to video editing, because that is how it completes and gives the entire feel to
Right.
your video. So
Right.
yes, that is one of the things. So yeah, I pick up my music very well. That I like to experiment with the bass, the drop, and I try to set up the mode of the music as per the video as well. So yeah, it's like it keeps on going on and on. I won't stop talking, so you have to stop me now.
I'm going to stop you. In fact, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you, how do you keep, like, for example, if I get, I mean, right now, I'll give you a realistic situation right now where
Sure.
I'm at. We got like a 2 to 3 hour window to head out in the morning.
Mhm.
At least till the 21st. So if you have a couple of hours, how
Okay.
do I plan that 2 hours to make it most effective?
All right.
If I want to go out and capture some content, how do I plan that?
Okay, so since Sajid mentioned there are always cops around and lockdown is going on, I would
Right.
suggest you to just carry your GoPro and your shorty mount. That is one of the
Okay.
easiest things I would say. Second thing
Right.
is like since you have 2 or 3 hours with you can just
Hmm.
cover your grocery shopping journey and stitch it into
Right.
a video. Try to take some POV shots with one hand with one hand GoPro and with
Hmm.
one hand in your POV shots. That's totally up to how
Correct.
you want to take some time warps, take some time lapse, and then compile it together. And yes,
Hmm.
Quick will be like that app which will enter in while you're coming back to your house. You just
Hmm.
upload your data on your phone and let the
Okay.
Quick do its own magic. And if at all
Right.
later on, if you want to do some changes, you can do the changes manually as well. Export your video,
Right.
and boom, it goes on
Right.
social media.
Wow, I think
Yeah,
that makes total sense. Like even like in your videos, one of the things I've seen is that visually it engages like in a brilliant way,
yeah,
right? Everything from the transitions to the point wherein the camera moves from a low angle to up high, and even if it's not, I know you ride the bike, so when you're shooting motorbiking content, it's like the content never, it's like ups and downs from the start to the finish. Any tips on that for our audience?
Maybe I think you can just play the video which I recently edited and put it on Reels. I
Brilliant.
think that will be easier
Yes,
for
yes.
people to understand.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah. I
About
think. Sorry. Continue. Yes. Continue.
about this video, I remember this was shot in like 30 minutes because we just had this bike for half an hour, and there were too many people
Okay.
who were already there to shoot that bike. So I
Right.
just took the shots, like photo shots and all the possible shots which I could from my way back to the hotel. And yes, I picked up a smart music track, with
Hmm.
which I kept on changing all my shots which I shot according to the drop of the music, according to the beats of the music. And yes, that is how it came out, and it became very easier. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I
really,
was too excited even before you started. Sorry, Sajid. Sorry, Sajid. I just ask him
yes.
one more question. So how? I mean, Sajid, you can answer this too. It's about setting the scene. I mean, when I saw this clip, even though it was like 30 seconds long, it almost felt like a Nolan film wherein everything is moody, it's set up, the music is cutting brilliantly to the transitions. How do you get that right? Yeah, Sajid, yes, you both can
So
give a
Yash,
crack.
I was just gonna say that like a lot of my friends saw this clip and they're like, "Oh, this guy seems to be a pro," and then they stalked your page.
Okay, all right. I don't know how to take compliments, but thank you. All right. I would like to, Sajid, I want you to say as well, but I would like to say one more thing after,
Yeah.
so, so just now you watched the video. In terms of whenever you watch in a video, you want to keep your audience engaging. That is the very one point. And the first 5 seconds should be incredible that, the rest of the video should be watched because they keep on expecting better and better shots. And that thing should keep
Yeah.
on going on. Each shot should be so interesting that they should keep on wondering how was this shot possible. And that is how I aligned those shots. I picked up a smart music and then I played out with a good edit, little bit of color correction over there, and then boom, yeah.
Hmm.
Sajid, over to you.
Yeah, I also think music is the key because I spend a lot of time finding royalty free tracks, and I use YouTube audio library. I use Epidemic Sounds because they're tied up with GoPro. Before that, there was something else that I used to use that was again tied up with GoPro. Finding the right music because that is the audio is the thing that will keep the user connected. Like they must feel immersed in whatever they're watching, and that's the kind of compliments I get from people saying, "Hey, I just lived what you showed to me," and if you can create that magic, you've created a banger.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, Sajid. In fact, like some, if not some, most of the motoring videos that I've seen, usually you'll see a perspective from the chesty angle, you see the handlebars, and that video continues for the next 4 hours. Uh,
Yeah.
I've also done that mistake in the past. How do you set the hero of the story in that 1 minute or in that 40 seconds? Who is the hero? How do you plan the cuts? And I'm also a huge fan of music. I like to edit my cuts according to the music beats. So how do you plan that? Like, who is the hero of your story, depending on where you're traveling or what you're traveling with?
So sometimes it depends on what you're shooting. Sometimes the story is the hero, like the kind of
Hmm.
content you want to showcase. Sometimes the person is the human is the hero. Sometimes the product that you're shooting is the hero. So it all depends on that. For example, I did a sailing trip in December last year, and I just couldn't figure out what content to make out of it because I was always used to like fast, pacey content since that's what action
Right.
sports is all about, right? And then suddenly here
Right.
everything is slow, there are waves, and then it just took me a while to figure that stuff out, but then finally I was happy with what came out of it. So I mean, over there, the I would say the whole the whole experience was the hero, and I managed to fit a time warp or two time warps in that slow video.
Yeah, I just to add one point, I think if in your videos and even in Yash's videos, one of the things that I find really, really intriguing and enjoyable are the organic sounds that you guys include. For example, Sajid, when you jump, you go woo, woo, you do all of that, and I love that.
Yeah.
Similarly with Sajid, with Yash, in this video, you can hear the organic sound. So I mean that I think really, really helps in creating the banger edit, and you get those human connections going, and that enhances the whole value of the video, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Cool.
Any gear, like obviously, when we head out, we carry like Yash said, get out with a shorty because it's a selfie stick, and you can use it as a tripod and things like that. So any of these mounts and accessories that you'd recommend, for like a wholesome situation where it doesn't matter if you're riding or if you're walking on the streets, or if you're just sitting at a roadside, like a cafe or something to capture your content with your friends and family over the weekend, or in the short time frame that you get during the pandemic.
Sure. Yash, I'll start first. Being an explorer, I really love the GoPro Shorty because it's also a tripod mount, and you can use it with the Max. You can use it with any of your cameras. Just leave it stable and stationary. I also love the strap for the hand because it's just so convenient. You can like point it anywhere. You can rotate it however you want. I definitely love these two mounts.
Okay.
Yash?
Okay. I think Yash is
Coming.
busy squatting a
Yeah.
mosquito.
So, no. I'm just trying to. My battery is down. So yeah, hold on.
Okay.
So another two. So like I mentioned earlier, I like to keep specific mounts with myself. So usually I've seen people, using head mount, chest mount, and bite mount as well. So using
Right.
all these three different mounts at one time, the perspective changes. If you see the perspective from your head mount, it is different. If you see the perspective from your chest mount, it is different. And if you see the
Right.
perspective from bite mount, it is different. So I usually pick up only one of these three, which it depends on which activity I'm doing. So my to-go mount is always bite mount and shorty mount. So these two mounts really help me in terms of making videos
Right.
and documenting all the videos.
Right.
Yes.
Right, brilliant. So what I'm gauging from what both of you all have said is that when you create an edit, basically capture all the emotions, capture the raw moments, make it celebratory because you're essentially celebrating your emotions and what you've done during that time period, and start and end with a bang, right? I mean, can you just talk us quickly through this?
I think you got it completely right. One thing I feel like newbies, and I was the same back in the days. You are afraid to try different perspectives, and there was one trip we did with GoPro family members where they're like, "Hey, Sergeant, just don't be afraid. Just try these
Right.
new angles." And I think
Right.
a lot of people on social media I see do that, especially like the newbies. But then many of them are still afraid to try that, and that
Right.
sometimes includes me also.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. We've got some amazing questions in. Are you guys ready to take them?
Yeah, sure.
Any of you guys can pick it. I'll just throw it out open. So we have a question from Fevin John. What are your top 3 mounts? Sajid, do you want to go first?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I love the shorty stick. I love El Grande, and I love the hand strap.
Okay. Awesome. Yash, any top 3 mounts, and why are they your top 3 mounts?
Okay. All right. So I again will go with I'm already tall, and on top of that, if I extend the El Grande, I kind of get this kind of a drone footage kind of feel when I take slow motion videos. So yes, El Grande also adds up to my top 3 or top 4 mounts to go with.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and if you want to add 2 different soundtracks, create the first video with the first soundtrack, create the second video with the second soundtrack, take the output, and then merge them again in Quik.
Right, right. I mean, just adding to that, the next question Vivek Bisay asks is that are all music tracks on Quick license free? So I mean, whatever tracks are on Quick are license free for sure. You know, you can make use of it, like you and Yash have. You know, and some of the tracks are like really kick-ass according to the mood. That's like high energy. So yes, whatever is on Quick is license free. You can feel free to use it. Great. I think we had some brilliant discussions. Is there anything else you would want to share, Sajid and Yash, before we move towards the end of the show?
I think yeah, I have something to share. The most important thing is, I know you want to go out there and shoot amazing content, right? But the important
Hmm.
thing is to have fun, to enjoy the
Hmm.
process while doing that. Um, and that shows, if you're shooting yourself, that shows in the video. I mean,
Hmm.
if I'm just focusing on the video, maybe I'm missing out on the jump, or maybe I'm missing out on the scenery. But then being in the moment, and that's what the camera, that's what GoPro allows you to do. That's what the brand stands for,
Right.
right? It's like, be a hero in whatever you're doing. That's the whole idea.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
I completely
It's
agree with Sajid. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, in fact, also on even if you take the safety front, right? When you're especially motorbikeing, is there any safety tips that you would like to give to the audience? Because I think that's really, really important.
Just make sure whatever mounts you're using are firmly attached. Keep a backup, keep a tire string, tire loop, or whatever, so that the camera doesn't fall off either on your own bike, or off your helmet, or wherever, or falls off and goes into someone else's bike. So make sure you're taking all these precautions, because I've seen this happening in aerial sports, like
Yeah.
things just coming off and flying into someone else's motor, or whatever, wherever. So please be careful about these things.
And don't forget to wear your helmet.
Yes, and that.
Yeah, I think that's the most important one, guys. Please, please, please wear your helmets when you're out on your motorbike. Doesn't matter if you're going to buy groceries or if you're going on a 2,000-kilometer road trip on the countryside. Wear your helmet.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yes.
I think this is an interesting one. I'm going to read it out. This is from Parth Sunil. He asks, what is the difference between a time lapse and a time warp?
Okay. Sajid, we both of
Out
us
in the
will be
open.
there, so you can go ahead. I'll add into my point as well from your point.
Okay, cool. So time lapse is, let me start with time warp first. Time warp is taking a picture in quick succession, and then either compiling them as a set of photographs, or compiling them as one long video. Whereas a time lapse is just collecting all of this. You just keep the camera rolling, uh, and yeah, it's just collecting all this footage, making a nice video out of it.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay,
Brilliant.
I
Yeah.
had almost the same answer. So yeah, again, Sajid, you did my job.
Okay,
Sure.
okay. I think then we have some time. I can ask my own question. How do you color correct your videos?
Oh,
All right. Wow. Okay.
yes.
So in Quick App, I have seen there are many presets. So it's up to you now which color preset you want to pick up and see which one goes on your video. So far, like I've been doing it the same way whenever it comes to editing my videos on Quick App. So yeah, it has become a little easier now, because there on the other
Okay.
side you can also work around with the exposure as well. So
Hmm.
yes, so I would suggest you to use the presets which are there in the Quick App. Try to use each and
Hmm.
every one and try to pick up your best of three, and that is how you'll
Okay.
get to know which preset goes well with your video color preset. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I think, sorry, Atish, I'll just add to that.
Sure.
There is an adjust option in when you
Yes.
go into your edits, right? Either the video or the clip edits. Make sure you check the adjust. You have to like scroll to the far left or to the far right, however you're
Hmm.
doing it. And in
Okay.
that, you will find exposure, you will find contrast, you will find highlights, you will find shadows. Play around
Right.
with these things. Don't make the footage look like a fake HDR kind of a footage. Rather, keep it look real, and that's how you get the cinematic look. And then add the
Okay.
filter to it, and in the filter also you can change how much percentage of the filter you want. Do you want like 100, 150, 200 of it, or do you want maybe like 50
Okay.
of it? Because sometimes that also matters a lot.
Right.
That's the most easiest way.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely amazing tips. Really, really helpful for me and everybody else in the audience. I think I should squeeze in probably one or two, or at least one more question in. Make use of all the expert creators
Yadish,
on the panel right now.
Yadish, sorry,
Yeah.
one more thing before you ask the question.
Hmm,
The
hmm.
one of the coolest feature about the cameras also I love is speaking to the camera, right? Because sometimes I mount the
Right,
camera on my backpack and just leave it there, and I don't want to remove my phone. I'm like, hey, GoPro record,
right.
or GoPro, whatever, take photo.
Yes.
And that's like one of the best things ever.
The voice
Right,
command.
right.
Totally agree.
Oh yes, yes, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I remember, Yash, we had that, during the Hero 8 launch, everybody used to talk to the cameras and
Yeah, and
everybody's cameras used to get
yes,
shut down.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So let's take the last question for today. It's from Prasiddha.
Go for
The
it.
question is for motor vlogging. How do I know what perspective to get? Any tips to get started? Shortlist.
Can I add in Sajid, if you don't mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've got these questions very like a lot, from my audience, and I always tell them like, you actually, if you want to get inspired, look at others' work, get some ideas, and later on try to use your camera as much as you can. Try to play around with your perspectives. Try to follow your own vision and see what works out for you. If at all you follow your own vision, you try to experiment. Maybe you can create your own perspective, which no one else ever did that earlier. So yeah,
Right.
it will be great if you follow that part. And Sajid, would you like to say anything on that?
No, I think that's completely right, Yash. It's important to see or follow other people's work, and of course, not replicate the same work, but
Yes.
get inspired. Like I'm
Yes,
sure
that is fine.
whatever we see these days is inspired from somewhere, right? And there's nothing wrong in that. And then, of course, add your magic to that. See
Yep.
what you're comfortable with. See what knowledge you want to share out of it. Why would people want to come and watch your videos? That's
Yep.
something you need to figure
Yep.
out.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. I think this is really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Sajid, and thank you, Yash.
Thank you,
Just to
Ron.
move
Thank you,
things forward,
Ron.
and thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. But before we end, I think it'll be great if you guys can quickly brush upon the Royal Enfield GoPro Timeless Classic contest that we have running. Any tips for the users? Anything at all that you want to share?
Yeah,
Mm,
Ron, can you just bring up that screen if you don't mind so that it's there in front of us? As you mentioned, just go out there, have fun, try unique perspectives, try unique angles, just make sure you're doing it safely. Doesn't need to be GoPro footage. You can use any of your cameras, just compile them in quick, try out all the features, presets, music, editing styles, whatever. And yeah, we'll be out there watching your videos.
yep.
Awesome, awesome. So there you have it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed today's show. But before we go, let's have a quick reel from our collab.
So
I thi-
that reel was a mixture of GoPro and all other footages, which I edited on quick. Yep. So yes.
Wow, brilliant. Okay, just to sum things up, thank you, Yash. Thank you, Sajid. I think whatever tips you shared, you guys did it in the most simplest manner possible, that even a 5-year-old can understand. So thank you for that. And I hope I thank everybody who has joined in today, and I hope you were able to absorb the beautiful tips and tricks, and I hope you'll be able to implement it in your own, content, that you create. And we'd love to see that, as you share it on your social network, as you upload it to awards, and as you take part in the many giveaways that we have underway, and many more that we will initiate in the future. So thank you again for joining in, and a big hat tip to Ron, who is helping us from his hometown,
Woohoo!
and it's
Thanks
pretty
a
late
lot.
over there right now. But thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Ron.
What's up,
Yee.
guys? A pleasure. It's a pleasure always to have you. to be here, you guys. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot of awesome tips tonight, my friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, thanks.
For sure, you guys. All right, stay safe, man.
Yes, yes.
All right, you
All right,
too.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Cheerio.
everyone. See
Take
you
care.
guys.
Yep.
Have a great weekend. Bye. Peace out.
Yep.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye.
Bye.